You are listening to River West Radio on WXRWLP 104.1 FM, Milwaukee. Support for this program comes from Collectivo Coffee, hosting Milwaukee Makers Market, third Sundays, May through September at Collectivo Bayview. Milwaukee Makers Market features more than 30 local art, craft, and design vendors. More info is at collectivocoffee.com. Welcome to Cinema Fireside. Where does one begin? It's so wild. Well, then one doesn't. I want to thank all our listeners for listening in. You guys certainly make it happen on a weekly basis, and I hope you guys are all doing good. If you're listening live, it's a beautiful evening in Milwaukee. We have great people passing by out on the street. We just had Suki's Diner, a wonderful show hosted by a wonderful spirit who hosts wonderful guests on a weekly basis, and that's what we need in this world is wonderful, benevolent people such as Suki, but mission-oriented too. So there is a meaningful narrative that goes along with her steady pace of goodness. So we certainly appreciate that. We also appreciate Gabe on the line. He is dutiful in his cinematic research. He outlays those findings on us on a weekly basis. And Gabe, we really, really appreciate that, most certainly. Sam Shepard has passed away. God rest his soul. Playwright, musician, actor. Gabe is, quite knowledgeable about all things cinematic. Mr. Shepard's been in The Right Stuff, and he is the playwright of many things, including Fool for Love. I don't have any notes with me, and then sometimes my extemporaneous mind just falters, but I was reading Patti Smith's Just Kids. I read that, actually, and I've got the other book in the waiting, her other memoir, M Train. But in it, Smith elaborates on her relationship with Sam Shepard. I think he was having an affair with Smith while he was married, and together him and Patty wrote Cowboy Moth. So as soon as I read that in the memoir, I've got a couple collections of his plays. Sure enough, it was in there, so I delighted in reading it at the time. It was funny, in my office I had a trade paperback of one of Shepard's biographies. The cover was torn off, and I remember it was kind of like just sitting there or whatever and on the floor. So I read that. Really good stuff. His contemporary in the theater world is David Mamet. Mamet and Shepard were the strong contemporary forces in American theater. And so he was pretty prodigious, produced a lot in the late 60s, early 70s, and had a full life. He also had a strong relationship with Jessica Lange, the actress, and lived his life well and got the job done and did his work. So that was a really, really good... Oh, Ken, thank you very much. I want to thank both Ken and Tom. Thank you, Ken. Yes, have a very good day, Ken. Thank you, too. Appreciate it. Ken delivered stunningly cold water, and Tom a delicious sugar cookie. And don't worry, no food is ever being eaten on the stage. Those are the house rules, and they are always honored. So we do have that cookie in waiting and that water, though, set to go at any time. Thanks, Ken. Ken's a good spirit, strong spirit, and he just made his way out of our building. So Elvis has left the building, and Tom dutifully but silently makes sure that this ship stays on course. Martin has took a look-see at the control panel. I think he found things right, so we're good to go on that. We again thank Gabe for his patience, which is another virtue he possesses among many. So this weekend we had play read in Los Angeles at the Samuel French Bookshop, and what a great thing! They started last year, and this year they had doubled the submissions. Over 80 plays were submitted, and 20 over 2 days were selected, 10 a day, and we got in, so that was a great honor. And I just want to thank the people that made it happen. We had just a really, really good cast in a real pro. I helped out with another play, and just the people. I'll just be not using names at this moment. Just got into all of this frazzling stuff on the way over, and it's like, you know what? Right now, I'm just going to. The people were thoroughly professional. They really stepped up to the plate on short notice. I can't thank them enough. They just really went out of their way. They did great things, and especially in producing that and getting everyone together, just there was an outstanding job done. And my heartfelt thanks to everyone involved. I know it's very vague at this point, but this is not the evening to be specific, man. I have to let all of the dust settle everywhere and then see where we stand. So Sarah Lou is entering the building. As always, a great spirit, great soul, good stuff, man. So and just outstanding milieu of goodness. And let's backtrack. If you're listening live, it's a beautiful evening in Milwaukee, and you still can make the most of this summer, undoubtedly. And you can't let that time go by. That's the thing. You can't get swept up in the rivers of other people's lives, because you're never going to make it to your own shore of your own dreams. The ordinary is exponential. You think you can take care of a task or two for the normal, for the ordinary? You are so wrong. You will not believe how the ordinary can disseminate the extraordinary so quick it'll make your head spin. And I'm like, man, if you do not plant roots, if you do not anchor your identity, man, you are going to get swept up so quick in the currents of other people's lives. You're going to, there's beautiful things that happen. There's beautiful things like helping some people that you really like move and make a transition in lives. There's nothing like that in the world. I would rather help good friends move than sit around on a couch and talk about nothing, whittling away the precious moments that God has given you. I had a young man tell me today he's about to sell all his possessions so he could get so he could get a chicken sandwich. I said, you know what? Man, there's food that I got that I never want to see in my house again. He walked away with 2 bags of that, cans that I look at that I would give to the Bob Dylan show to cut my rate in. Like you bring 5 cans, we'll cut your entrance fee. Those cans you're never going to eat, And I told him that. I was forthright. I said, dude, I want these out of my house. You can have them. Then I threw in some fresh bread, a couple hot dogs, some ramen, and all of that stuff. It was a real blessing to be able to do that. That was, but for a young man to claim that he's going to sell his possessions for a chicken sandwich, that of course touches the furthest reaches of one's heart. Wouldn't you say so, Tom? All you got to do is nod. He nods. Okay, excellent. So yeah, what a blessing. There's other challenges, all of that stuff, and oh man, I tell you, if you have your wherewithal, you got your mental faculties, you got your physical health, it is such a blessing. This is not a moral thing. When you were growing up, it was like all moral, people are starving here and there. Well, what does that got to do with me? It's got zero to do with you. It's an abstract. It's someone psychologically like bullying you into their way of thinking. So I'm talking about like for real. When you lived half a century, man, you see things like for real, and it's a sham. It's all meaningless. It really is. There's no mystery. There's no mysticism. There's nothing. What goes around does not come around. That does not work that way. It only works that way. Oh, I get a huge thumbs up. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you could seek out coincidences that'll match your theory. That's the only way that thing works. Nature is indifferent. Nature doesn't have a sense of moral. So anyone who says something like that is going against the very essence of nature. Nature doesn't care. It just exists. Nature doesn't care about you. It could care. The only thing nature is lucky because people care for it. It doesn't care about you. That's science, man. You can talk to the plant, but it's not going to talk to you. It care less what you do. You just walk on. So, like I say, after a while, you realize, oh man, the only secret to life is the fact that you're living it. That's it. Anyone tells you any different, man, that's crazier than heck. Most definitely. So, yeah, what a life it is. And I would say that there's people that are very well on track with it, that from the moment they get up in the morning till they pass out at night, they're doing their thing. And you run across normals, and you're on a mission, they freak out because they don't understand. How can this person not be part of the mindless collective, these day-to-day things, these digressions, And I'd be like, I'm not down with that. I don't. It means nothing to me. Your ordinariness, your normalcy means zero. You got about probably 80 or 90 good years, man. See you, Naomi. Have a great, great night. Thank you. So this is it. This is your opportunity. If you're staring in front of a screen, I think you're crazier than hell, man. But we love you nonetheless because there is no more morality. There's no moral to this story. So you got to do what you got to do. But to impose, I wouldn't want to impose myself on you. I don't expect you to impose yourself on me. That's the bottom line. There's no right or wrong or anything like that. So I don't know where it was, and I don't know if it was actually Wayne Dyer or who, or maybe I just read it or whatever. They took it further than I usually take it. Well, maybe, I don't know. They say the ordinary will destroy you. The ordinary is relentless. It will eat you alive if you let it. It's so true. It is so true. It is so true. The moment you walk out the door, you're going to get swept up in the follies. It's crazy. And you got to avoid that like the plague. Hey, let's go there. Why do I have to go anywhere? I'm here. I don't have to take one step. You go. You send me a postcard. You want to go bowling? Send me a postcard. You want to go to the Caribbean? Send me a postcard. I'm already here, man. That's the bottom line. I could care less about traveling. That means zero to me. I could care less about going to a bar, seeing a band. Zero. The big zero. Lots of great people involved in all those enterprises, no doubt. But, if you're doing that, you ain't doing your work. You got to do your work first, what you believe in. And you got to use the English language. It's like, what am I speaking, like from the planet Pluto? No, man. I'm already here. So there's no place to go. Hey, you know what? I'm in this beautiful place, River West Radio, among beautiful people. I'm already here. There is no other place to go. Now, I've just went over the top. It's crazy. We've got a man sweating in another state, waiting to get on the air. He's heard this all before. He knows all this. I'm preaching to the choir. Let's bring him on. Gabe, are you still with us?
I am right here.
See, you're strong, my brother. Talk to us.
I try. Well,
you'll try, you'll do.
It's been an interesting week. Life's good. Life's always good. Cinematic universes. A lot of good films been coming out this week. Cinema Fireside, Gabe Van Handel here reporting in from Kansas City. A lot of really good, really strong stuff that's come out in the last few weeks, both in terms of streaming services, coming out into the general cinema. summer always brings a sort of different type of extreme Hollywood movie because out of left field you'll get this high concept blockbuster stuff where there's actually interesting ideas, where there's actually some of this real strong Hollywood filmmaking, where there's actual intelligence involved beyond just like the mechanisms of making a studio film, turning on the cameras and the know-how of technical experts, going from point A to point B in the film. That's all great and good. But, what is your film actually about? What impact does it have on the viewer? And more importantly, what impact does it have on the discerning viewer? Someone who just goes to a movie theater and is like, well, what movie am I going to see this Monday? Without any knowledge of any of the films that are in the theater that they want to see, that they don't want to see, the product that they should avoid, the product that they are eager and desperate to see, and there's none of that discernment between, like the main, like absolute, bad cinema, good cinema, great cinema, when there is no preference, which is fine. Not everyone cares about music. Not everyone cares about, the humanities or what type of content they're putting into their mind or in their body. But there is some stuff that will genuinely, it will make you dumber. I'm sorry. Like when you come out, there are some movies that you can just feel it. I can definitely feel it where I'm like, wow, I have now literally learned stuff that, and to call it learning is an insult to the word learning, but I've actually made myself dumber. And I feel dumber than I was when I went into this film. So I try and be careful in terms of, I try and do as much research about films before I see them as possible. I try and read, not a ton of reviews, but I try and read some reviews from my favorite film critics and stuff like that, because, a lot of those guys, I don't just read it just to know the technical information about films is meaningless. Like how much money did it make at the box office? Like, who cares? Like stats on filmmakers like it's baseball cards. Who cares? I want to know if this is a meaningful, thoughtful film that's going to touch my soul, that's going to, leave an impression, an artistic impression, that's going to make my time feel worthwhile. Time is precious, and like Mark says every week, you have to do the best that you can with what you have when you have it, because before you know it, it's gone. Before you know it, you'll wake up and you're 30. Before you know it, you'll wake up, you're 45. Before you know it, you'll wake up and you're...
Dude, you'd be
80.
50, what I am.
And absolutely, Mark. And that time goes by faster and faster. So taking, if you'd like to go to movies, if you like to watch TV, if you like to read books, if you like to listen to music, being discerning about what movies, what books, what music, what theater, it comes with preference with each individual. There is no right and wrong answer. Of course, it's art. As Victor said the last 2 weeks, it's up to the individual, which is pretty obvious to anyone, I think, who's, watched a handful of movies or, gained any sort of individual perspective. Obviously, those preferences are going to change for every individual. And that's important. That's what makes us unique as consumers. But after a while, everyone's discernment for what they consider to be worth their time and not worth their time changes with each person as they get older. And some people have no discernment. Some people just don't care about movies to that level where they don't look at it as art, or they don't look at that's just not a part of their day-to-day lives, and that's fine. A lot of people just don't. Some people are more creative than others, and some people take in more creativity than others, and that's just, there's different people, and that's necessary. That's just the way it is. It's not right, it's not wrong. There's no better, there's no worse. It's just different people.
I like that, Gabe. Thank you.
There really isn't. It's not to say like, oh man, you're not watching it. You've never seen a Godard film, or you've never seen the films of Truffaut or Fellini or Bergman or whatever. What could you possibly know about the state of cinema? That's just nonsense. That's just absolute nonsense. There is no right and wrong answer. There is no checklist for the learned or the watched individual. That's just absolute that's just elitist nonsense. And, I mean, there's plenty of people out there that have seen the entire filmographies of Bergman, Fellini, of Kurosawa, of Mitsuguchi, of all the, all the great filmmakers that have, Eisenstein, and we're left with, I don't really care for it. I don't like it. I have a friend that actually who...
and man, I say Gabe Zav is a great person. He's headed into the next act of his evening. Thanks for everything,
Absolutely.
Zav. Have a great evening, man.
Later, Zav.
Gabe says Gabe gives his best, Zav.
Oh, Zav will play our dutiful magician behind the scenes. Man, that guy just...
Yeah, and actually, I think Gabe is right. We would just really want to thank Zav for all the time and commitment to this whole enterprise. Thank you so much, Zav. And as Gabe points out, Martin as well, we really want to thank these guys for really helming the ship. Thanks so much, guys, for all the time and effort you put into this, which is just superhuman. We thank you.
Absolutely. As I'd stated last week, I didn't have time to get to it, but another just action, wildly packed, super summer film. I mean, on the one hand, it's a super summer film because it's just this, it's full of action, it's full of violence, and it's full of excitement, and it's just a riveting, eye-opening film that just demands attention.
Is it Atomic Blonde or?
No. No, I'm not even going to waste time on the show talking about that movie.
Oh my! You know what, dude? I think of all the summer. I mean, I have zero clue. But I think I'm gonna actually, because of the milieu.
Sure.
I think I'm gonna. I think I may check it out because I see about like 2 Hollywood films a year, 3, something like that, just out of the blue. And if I get a chance, I may see that one. Well, may is interchangeable.
Yeah. I couldn't. I'm not going to dissuade you from.
Oh, you ain't, dude. I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah, I mean, everyone should. Everyone does what they want. Really, they really do.
Well, yes and no. Yeah, but actually, probably molecularly, they do.
Everyone does what they want to do. They really do. Everyone is always doing what they want to do.
Yeah, even if they don't want to do, if they're doing what they don't want to do, maybe in some way they got there by, they put themselves in that. It's like, well, man, you should have hit the bricks first thing in the morning, and you wouldn't be in the subservient role now. Is that what you're potentially getting at?
I don't feel sorry for anyone who goes through this motion of like, oh, my life is so difficult, my life is so hard, I have no control of my life, and just this giant pity party. I have zero tolerance for people that complain about. I just have zero tolerance. I'm becoming more intolerant of whining the older I get. There are now people that are upset about people that mistreat other people. That's different. There's a certain amount of political rhetoric and anger that fine, I'll listen to this politely from a distance, but like you've said, Mark, in terms of just taking care of business of your day-to-day life, including your friends and your immediate family in your affairs, helping out with people when you can and when it's healthy, and assisting people.
See you, Suki. Have a great night.
Helping people in the good struggle of life, moving things from point A to point B. Hey, man, I need help painting my living room. Absolutely, I'm there. You got it. Not a problem. Hey, man, I need help in the kids' room at church on Sunday morning for the kids' Sunday service stuff. Not a problem. You got it. I'm there. Not a problem. Not even an issue. Don't even worry about it. You don't even have to thank me. I appreciate your thanks. Not an issue. It is my pleasure to help you, literally. But engaging in the minor affairs of listening to people banter about just being people that are just angry about things for no reason, just pointless anger. I just do not understand. It is so easy to enjoy. There's so many things in life to enjoy. And as someone who just obsessively loves movies, even stuff like bad films, man, I don't want to watch game shows. I don't have time to be watching sitcoms with laugh tracks on them. I want to be watching even Hollywood films, even these high concept Hollywood films, man, like I don't want to watch a lot of this stuff more than once. Which brings me to my main topic here is like Dunkirk, which I was going to talk about on the show last week, which is Christopher Nolan's newest film, who is a provocateur of cinema, to be sure. Visually, he's a brilliant stylist. He's always saturating the frames with these sophisticated, pointed images that are just gorgeous on the eye, and he always fills his films with a sort of a nuanced presence of the unseen. He's Kubrickian, to be sure. He has this sort of he has like a Kubrickian charm for making certain images or moments feel almost like pristine in their uncovered, unearthed archaeological sort of presence. He has this uncanny ability to really saturate things with just moments, these powerful visual moments of music and stillness. And he has like this sort of disquieting presence, this sharp, loud presence that he has the ability to both cut fast and to pace his films very quickly at times without really altering the style. But then he'll also slow things down, and then he'll actually like draw you into the characters and create a more intimate presence. But he has his own style. To say he's Kubrickian, even though Stanley Kubrick is in his interviews, he's talked about the influence that Stanley Kubrick has had on his own style, and Kurosawa and other filmmakers, which Rashomon is clearly a major influence on the film Dunkirk. Both in terms of its varied character perspectives and its time frames and its different narratives that intersect. But just the Kurosawan type of framing and the type of shot structure and the type of tracking shots that he uses, it really didn't even occur to me until about 20 minutes after I got out of the theater. And I really thought about the frames and the images that I was left with, and I really kept thinking, man. And I realized that it was some of the tracking shots from Rashomon, that it reminded me of. And then I thought about the different perspectives, and I thought, well, that must be a clear influence. There must have been a stylist. And then I thought about the soundtrack, about the music that was used in the first third of the film, sparse, sort of jangling, postmodern, but ancient at the same time. It felt like futuristic, but it also felt very primordial, almost like the first etchings of sound, of like people scratching at a cave wall or people banging on drums, or these individual tinkers and tinkerings of items accidentally turned into music. But also of stopwatches of time, of this idea of like the ticking presence of time and the slow immersion of water, the suffocating immersion and claustrophobia of objects and walls and doors and of spaces and of industry. Nolan has a great sense of place, presence, time, and of perspective in this film, the best that I've ever seen. And to be totally fair, I'm not a huge fan of his work all the time. I thought Interstellar was I thought the second and the third parts of Interstellar were great. I almost walked out of the film until it launched into outer space, literally, in a literal sense, until literally the film goes into outer space. But and then I was just taken into this whole other film. But he's a high concept filmmaker, and I hate that word high concept, but he really is. He truly is a high concept filmmaker who has the audacity, and he has the wit, the verve, and the maturity to pull off a lot of his gimmicks. Now, I use the word gimmick because they get tiresome. A lot of these gimmicks get old. The cross-cutting between different time frames, the cross-cutting between different narratives, it actually impedes on the power of the story. It actually impedes on the point, on the message, on the whole purpose of the film, the ability to immerse yourself in these characters. Now, it is his story. It is his film. He wrote it. He directed it. He can do whatever he wants with it. And to be honest, he makes a pretty technically sophisticated film that also has a lot of intimate, small nuances. This is a World War II film that takes place on very open, sandy beaches, and so you have a certain story that's been told many times before, but he's telling it in a very artistic and, to be honest, a very European way that I haven't seen in an American war film. I don't know if I've ever seen an American big-budget blockbuster summer Warner Brothers released in every theater in America told like this before, because usually big-budget war films with big special effects and big set pieces and tons of money behind them have a ton of lead actors that are like right off of Us Weekly or People Weekly or all the tabloids. They have all these famous, beautiful faces, doing all sorts of character-y things in movies that characters in American movies do, where they have all these motivations and all these reasons and all this exposition and all this backstory and all these love stories dangling all over the place and all these twists and turns and plot points and changes in the mechanisms and the intersection of history and destiny and all these other pseudo-Shakespearean themes of revenge and love and honor and betrayal. And Dunkirk doesn't seem to really be wrapped up too much with the traditional modes of character development and mores and point and purpose and destiny. It has a lot of characters wordlessly, and this is what I thought was the most effective and memorable aspect of the film, is the fact that most of the interaction and most of the storytelling is without dialogue. It's all done silently, much like a silent film that has like a soundtrack, like it has music and it has sound effects. But most of the interaction and the communication in the film is done, hey, how you doing, is done wordlessly, using gesture, using wordless communication, and just using eye contact. The last film that I can remember that really did that effectively, and it did it more invisibly than this film, because this film, whenever there's something that's obviously in the script that's a plot point, but that's relayed wordlessly, it's usually signaled, or it's usually like a character points at something, or a character looks at something, or something is suddenly looked at in close-up by the camera, or characters just do things, and then you see their motivations without it having to be relayed obviously, but it doesn't have all that expository dialogue. But the last film that I saw that had so much wordless communication, that was big budget, but that did it without less of these finger points and like the look at what I'm looking at, was Mad Max Fury Road, which I kind of criticized on the show last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, for being a little one note in its endless chase sequence, but it being nonetheless a almost unrivaled, towering entry into the action film canon genre. Just Mad Max Fury Road is a film that I admire and respect.
I saw that
a lot. But
yeah, I saw that again. I think, didn't we discuss that last week? After
we did, yeah.
That was a bit much. But I did see Mad Max, The Road Warrior, and Thunderdome all in the theater. So when they came out,
those are great films in my opinion. I think The Road Warrior is, in many ways, 1981 is a year of two of the best action films ever made. Three of the best, if not the three best ever. Raiders of the Lost Ark, Escape from New York, and The Road Warrior.
Yeah, I saw all three at the theater, dude.
Oh, man, Mark, you don't understand how lucky you are to have that, where it's just like, no, man, those were just movies that were coming out in the theater. Quality mainstream cinema being that good is something that I am so, I don't want to say envious, because I'm not envious of anything, but
amen.
Man, that is just such a cool thing, that a movie like Raiders of the Lost Ark being released to a mainstream audience and they're just gobbling it up like it's candy. Because if you look at how good Raiders of the Lost Ark really is, it really is about as strong as mainstream popcorn Hollywood entertainment is capable of being, of completely illogical Hollywood. Things blow up, people shoot each other, there's Nazis, there's big things blowing up, there's huge sets, there's things shot on locations with hundreds of extras. I mean, people talk about like Lawrence of Arabia or the, Cleopatra, these giant pageantry films, like desert films with the desert and all these extras. I don't really get into a lot of those desert films, especially the ones from like the 50s and the 60s. But the only desert film that I really, really, really love, the desert epic, is Raiders of the Lost Ark, because Spielberg almost completely mastered the idea of the Hollywood film in a very short period of time. And he just kept executing it and refining it and changing it. And yes, there are huge flaws and problems and holes with the Spielbergian idea of cinema, but they're so minor, and they really require like a certain type of extreme cynicism to really pointedly, constantly fixate on rather than the virtues. If you look at the ethics of the Spielbergian idea behind his films, like what's not on the screen and where does this film come from and why was it made? Yes, there's huge flaws with a movie like Schindler's List. But in terms of the movie that was on the screen, Schindler's List is a tremendous emotional experience that comes straight out of the William Wyler School of Filmmaking, the John Ford School of Filmmaking, where you have tremendous visual power and tremendous emotional and poetic power, all coalescing together to create a sort of canonized art, a piece of art distributed to a mainstream audience, to a mass audience, meant to be distributed to a mass audience. And that's a huge key right there that's different between different kinds of Hollywood art, is that a movie like Dunkirk is meant to be seen by a huge audience in a huge room on a huge screen with a ton of people, and where everyone sort of like their heart races at the same time. Everyone sort of like they hold their breath at the same time. People squirm in their seats at the same time. It's meant to be a shared collective experience. It's a movie meant for a theater. And that's one thing I do love about some of these, summer blockbuster films, is that there's something enhanced about having the presence of all those strangers, like the Hitchcockian aspect of all of us watching together and breathing together and exhaling together and screaming together. It really enhances the film. Comedies too. There's certain types of comedies where that works, but I haven't seen. I mean, The Big Sick worked as an emotional experience, and I thought it was like sly and funny. But there were only two other people in the theater when I saw it, so it didn't really have that laugh track effect. Which, as much as I just criticized like sitcoms and the laugh track, in a theater the laugh track is different because you're engaging with the laugh track, and the jokes are usually actually funny. Whereas a sitcom, I just don't understand. I just don't understand how I spent so many years watching sitcoms. Anyway, I'm
welcome back.
That's just so off topic. I'm not even going to get there because I will just start criticizing my own life.
Oh my!
But I do enough of that on my own mark in my own head. So anyway, Dunkirk, highly recommended, but with caution. There's a lot of problems with the film. There's a lot of things that don't work. There's a lot of stuff, which, considering that the film is probably his leanest movie, Christopher Nolan's that is, it is still crammed with a ton of untidy, unnecessary stuff. But it's all tasteful. It's all well-meaning, and it's well acted, and it's well shot, and it's well edited, it's well scored, and it's intelligent, it's thought-provoking, it's mature, it's precise, it's a really intelligent, well thought out Hollywood film, and it's a well thought out war film, and it looks at the consequence and the cost of war without going into the same battles that we've seen in tons of films, and it has patience, which is something. Restraint and patience are two things I really, really respect in action films. When things have the verve and the understanding to go against the contemporary strain of loud, noisy, incomprehensible. The incomprehensible is what I refer to it as, just the complete lack of logic or understanding, or just of being able to comprehend what's going on the screen because it's just so chaotic. and crazy and crammed and just wild and out of control. I don't really understand how that became the state of a lot of action cinema and a lot of filmmaking for about the last 7 years or so. But Michael Bay had a lot to do with it, and Paul Greengrass, who both have made great action films, but the price of their handful of great action films that led to the thousands of poor imitators in their wake is just I guess who cares, but it just made for some very, very bad visual terms, some very bad films. So I like what Dunkirk is doing. You're seeing some austerity and you're seeing some classic, steady, straightforward, logical filmmaking, and I'm all about all of that.
Excellent, Gabe. Well done, my man. Well done, and what a life it is, and we're so glad to have you on board. Not to make a sweeping generalization, but I just thought I'd kick that in since you are a man of the specifics. So, and you're doing well, Gabe?
Mark, I've been doing great. You know what? I've been watching a lot of films with my significant other, and you know, she is a trooper because she lets me choose what we watch because and I've told her, I said, you know, we can watch what you want to watch. And she said something to me the other day. She was like, what we watch together, what we watch is great. Like, she's like, I am not starving for entertainment here. I'm not like, it's not like I need to watch something that, it's not like the stuff I watch with you is like boring or like we're like never, you know, she's like, we're always watching something that I pay attention to. Like, what were we watching the other night? Like, what I would consider like probably the least. Like, I need to pay attention to every frame of this movie. I need to pay attention to everything that's going on. Where I could like kind of relax, but I still paid attention, but I was relaxed. I watched Herzog's newest documentary, Lo and Behold, Reveries of the Digital Age, and. You know, just again, man, Herzog just makes such good films. And Mark, we've talked about this on the show recently more than a few times about like his collection, his books and his documentaries and his films. And you know, he's been around for 42 years almost, more than that actually, about 44 years. You know, he makes a film a year, if not more. He writes books. He's involved. He does acting. He's just an unrelenting presence in art, in film, and in you know, he's hosted TV shows. He's hosted nature documentaries. He's done narration. Lo and Behold got some fair reviews in the last couple of years. I'm sorry, like it got fair reviews when it came out last year, and I didn't rush to see it because I figured it was one of his lesser documentaries, and it got like 2.5 3-star reviews, and they said, well, he doesn't really say anything new, and there's nothing really revealing in it, and it doesn't really have the real powerful sense of poetry that most of his films have. And he's not as present in this film as he is in his other ones, where he's like literally a character or a narrative guide, where most of the joy of the film is the Herzog experience, where he just is narrating and pontificating over the film. So I watched this film with low expectations, and man, was I wrong? Were those reviews just totally misguiding for me? I mean, not to say I was like wrong or these people were wrong, but man, my experience with this film, what an entertaining, thought-provoking, interesting movie. I just was riveted, paying attention to every second, every frame, every minute, every conversation, every idea brought up. Pure entertainment. I mean, you make a film talking about, where a large portion of the film is just these leading experts in nanotechnology and in communication technology and people studying the physical, like the logic of dream space in our minds and our brains, where a large portion of the film, a fair portion of the film, is Herzog asking them, does the internet dream of itself? Is it capable of dreaming of itself? And then them sort of dismantling the question and on either side saying, well, in theory, it could be possible that artificial intelligence could someday, be have a full rounded consciousness. But until artificial intelligence is creating itself and able to fix and manifest and work on itself like a real consciousness, where it shapes and molds itself, where it's not, put together by a number of limited conscious human factors, where it doesn't have its own created subconscious, and it doesn't have its, unfixed motives, desires, whims, dreams, pitfalls, problems, and failures, and all that stuff, where it doesn't grow at a normal rate. It's not really possible for a consciousness to have the human factor. So, just them dismantling these questions, these real philosophical questions about really unphilosophical things, is always extremely interesting. I mean, that, like, you could make like a 15-hour documentary about scientists discussing philosophical questions, and I'm just riveted every second of the way. Whether it's technical jargon or philosophical jargon, whenever you're dealing with people like that are obsessed with both sides of those coins interchangeably, where they're technically astute about philosophical things and vice versa, I love. And especially when you're whittling, when you've edited out other aspects of the conversation and you're keeping a thread through it all, you have this stream of questions, and you're having this stream of similar answers or of similar concepts. Harvard scientists, Stanford scientists, MIT scientists, man, just entertainment. But she kind of pointed out that, like, she's like, no, whatever you want to watch, it's we've been having a pretty good success rate of watching things that way. So my thanks does have to go out to that, to being in a relationship with someone who, like, just is totally willing to go along for the ride and watch whatever I need to watch for the show, or
you are
just
blessed.
whatever pops out in my consciousness at the time. Like, nope, we're going to watch a Kurosawa film tonight. Nope, we're going to watch a Kiarostami film tonight. We're going to watch a 6-hour documentary about the Grateful Dead. Whatever needs to be watched just sometimes needs to be watched.
No, you are amazingly blessed. Very fortunate to have that symbiotic relationship that compellingly drives a meaningful narrative.
Absolutely. And on her side of it, I am going to go see Atomic Blonde with her, because that is a film
Us three will see it.
She really does want to see that. I have zero interest in seeing that film. I mean, I will see it because it's, it's generally gotten mostly good reviews, and the sort of, well, we've seen this film many times before. We've even seen Charlize Theron in this role, in this film, in this idea before. We've seen James McAvoy in a version of this James McAvoy role. We've seen Toby, whatever his name is, in this role before. We've seen John Goodman in this role before. We've seen this film in variations. We've seen all of the five films that were put together to make this film. We've seen all 5 of them before, and we've seen their compacted, compartmentalized components many times before. But regardless, I mean, it's a movie where there's highly sophisticated, precise choreography, assassins killing assassins, saying, quippy, emotionless, dead-eyed, assassin-y things to each other. People walk into neon-lit lounges. There's, a hyper-stylized, super cool soundtrack with remixes of 80s techno and 80s synth pop tracks, and close-ups of details, and super fast quick cutting after long sequences of not quick cutting, and people say these sort of dead emotional things to each other, and then someone gets screwed over, and then they have to enact revenge, and they have to figure out who they have to enact revenge on, and then they find something in their own soul worth saving and salvaging, and then they discover something else that is still worth salvaging. And then it turns out that what they thought they were salvaging actually isn't worth salvaging. And then another person from their past comes out of hiding. And then a bunch of people die. And then a bunch of more people die. And then there's a bunch of comedy and a bunch of humor. And then, of course, it all points to a sequel.
My word.
It's all really well shot and well lit and well done. And I love Charlize Theron, but if I had to pick, I'd just rather rewatch Monster again. If you're going to make me watch a Charlize Theron film, or Prometheus. She's a talented actress, to be sure, but ever since she's come into this role of extreme action hero, I just really get the vague, uneasy sense that I'm just going to see a lot of really bad films come out of this more than I'm going to see anything really good. But I love Charlize Theron. I absolutely love Charlize Theron. So either way, that film is going to get seen.
Well, you got something to look
probably
forward to. I mean, it seems like all the cards are in your favor, and it sounds like it's going to be a wonderful screening.
I hope so. Well, the thing is like, you do things for the people you love.
That's absolutely correct.
When you got kids, you go see kids' films. Nobody said that being a parent is about doing what you want to do. So going to kids' films, the whole point is that it's not the movie that you want to see. It's the movie that your kid wants to see. And it doesn't matter if you like the movie or not. It's not about you. It's about your kid. So go to that kid's film and shut up. That's one thing that, it's like when you're on a date with someone who wants to go see Transformers, I guess.
Here, I think we got someone approaching that does want to see Transformers.
You just do it. You do it because you care about people and you love people. And you know what? Sometimes it's not. And coming from me, this is a little shocking, but it's just a movie. It's just a movie. I'm sure it'll be okay if you have to sit through a Michael Bay film because the person you love or the person you care about or a friend of yours wants to go see it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it sounds like you're all accommodating to, obviously different situations, and that makes you great. And I think that, I think one of our biggest fans of the Transformer films has just walked on stage. Would that be correct?
I don't think so.
You'd have to speak into the mic, though. Prop that mic up for him. That mic's wandering.
Now, what makes you say that? The Transformers are not my bag, but obviously some people like them.
Well, what do you like?
That's a very good question.
Okay. Well, people like to talk about themselves, so I thought I'd kick it off with the most golden thing you can do.
I like outstanding films, but they're in short supply, but I don't want to get into that right now.
Yes, you do.
Not really. Did you see Munich?
Oh, my God. Yes, I saw Munich 13 years ago when it came out.
No, not Munich. What's the one I'm thinking of, the new one? Dunkirk.
The one I just spent the entire show talking about? Yes, I have seen it.
What did you think of it?
Well, you'll have to go back and listen to the show and find out because I already spent like 20 minutes talking about it. I thought it was really good, and I thought it was really tiresome at the same time. But I thought mostly the fact that it was intelligent, straightforward. It actually had a sense of logic and reason, and the fact that it has a big wide frame where you can see the details and you can see the settings is a big help. I thought its unnecessary sense of cross-cutting was annoying at best, and I thought it completely detracted away from the human factor, of which was, I thought, the whole point, until you get caught up in the gimmick of it crossing time narratives and crossing timelines and characters interacting with each other. It just fell completely beside the point of what the film was trying to say about the cost of war or the cost of a human life, or ultimately like the passing of time and what it means to be human. The decisions that you have to make in both when you have time to make decisions and when you don't have time. The alliances you make, the bonds you make, unspoken bonds.
I thought the film was very good for what it was. It was by far the most distinguished film of the year, but it was flawed. And it was tiresome at times. I hate to say this, but I agree with some of your comments. It lacked a basic human element for all of its brilliance. It went back and forth, the guys in the ship, the sinking ship. But this was not a film that was very interested in extolling the wonderful things that these little, the Britishers did to. In other words, it was not. One friend of mine said it was not historically accurate. There was a huge flotilla of little ships who came over to help the Dunkirk survivor. By the way, don't mind me. I imbibed a little.
You imbibed a little bit.
It was not a perfect film, but it was a noble effort.
Yeah,
which is fine because it's still a damn good film, and I was very impressed with much of it.
But it left you unmoved, is what you're saying, right?
But you know what it reminded me of is it actually had some of the patience and the scope of a William Wyler film.
Well,
now you're ringing his bell.
No comment on that.
William Wyler and Stanley Kubrick are both huge influences on Christopher Nolan, as they are on Steven Spielberg.
Well, Wyler was a lot more fun when he had Greer Garson send Walter Pigeon off. And then while he's off to Dunkirk, she captures a British soldier. Remember Mrs. Miniver?
Mrs. Miniver from 44. It's a terrific film.
Yes, it was a very
42.
hokey film. It's a beautiful film, but that's Wyler.
Nope.
And I will say something else that's beautiful, boys. We got 2.5 minutes left. If we haven't already introduced him, we will now. This is our preeminent opera critic and culture critic and film critic, Steve Spice. Welcome aboard. Well, you deserve those accolades and many more.
Thank you. Gabe, I liked your comments, by the way.
Thank you. Also, lo and behold, I did see the newest Herzog documentary, which I mentioned. Long Strange Trip, for anyone who's wondering, I didn't get to it, but the newest documentary on the Grateful Dead, all 6 hours of it on Amazon Prime is, if you're into the Dead or if you're into the history of the Dead, it's well made, it's well written, full of talking heads. I made it through all 6 hours. I was riveted. I was entertained the whole way. But they should have just renamed it Jerry Man.
Many people are now watching TV shows more than movies. By the way, next week you have to deal with Detroit. That's going to be the
No. See, this is crazy talk because it's not about dealing with anything. It's about experiencing, each and every film, so on and so forth.
It'll be released. It'll be widely discussed.
Okay, it's the tone that counts. That's the subtext. There's many wonderful films out there.
Thank you.
Pick up the New York Times makes this exceedingly clear. Cine East film comment. There's a huge spectrum of films from very motivated, determined, intelligent people. All you got to do is do your homework. And then you'll be able to enjoy them. So I won't be taking any flack in that department, most certainly. Well, we just lost our man. That's me, and now we got me and you, Steve, which is incredible. Gabe, have a great night. The phone just hung up, and we got about 30 seconds left.
I don't feel very controversial, so.
Well, great.
That's
beautiful, man.
After the show.
Yeah, of course. We'll get controversial after the show. Many great films out there. Every generation makes great films. We are very smart, beautiful, intelligent people each week. Many great films come out. Just open your eyes to them if you so choose. Many great films for the last 121 years. I know that's hurting Mr. Spice, but I will have to say we will be on at the same time next week on WXR WLP 104.1 FM Milwaukee. To hear past episodes, visit riverwestradio.com/shows and click Cinema Fireside.